start by thanking Boricuas Unidos and Diáspora and my sister, Congresswoman Delia Ramírez, for hosting today's briefing. I can't tell you enough how incredibly grateful I am for Delia, for that conviction and unapologetic voice for the people of Puerto Rico, even in those rooms where people don't seem to understand what colonialism is, or don't want to understand what colonialism is, or those that think that the only way forward is statehood. I think Bad Bunny has said it really well, and I know you'll be talking about that, right? But we understand what happened to Hawaii, and we understand the impact that it has on the island, and that whether you're Democrat or Republican, this whole idea that Puerto Rico needs to be a state is something that is deeply seated in colonialism. So I want to thank her for her leadership and her work. And I also want to say this. I want to acknowledge that we've had some really difficult last months. I was talking to Juan a moment ago. These last 9 months have felt like 9 years. The bags you see under my eyes are thanks to some of the things happening here in DC. But I want to say this. Para mí, todo lo que está pasando, everything that is happening, cuts to services that Americans rely on, mass detention and deportations, attacks on human rights defenders and nonprofits, and the death and displacement of Palestinian people is all interconnected. With Palestina, Chicago, Puerto Rico, our communities are confronting the pain, the fear, and the violence of unaccountable leaders waging connected campaigns of terror against our neighbors, against our families, and against our loved ones. From Palestine to Chicago to Puerto Rico, we are witnessing unaccountable leaders attempting to advance their fascist agendas, casting others, Hondureños, Palestinos, Venezolanos, the ID from Syria, as a public enemy and silencing dissenting voices. From Palestine to Chicago to Puerto Rico, unaccountable leaders are robbing children and generations of families of the opportunity to be able to thrive, to have successful, healthy futures. Why? Because they want to enrich their billionaire friends. From Palestine to Chicago to Puerto Rico, campaigns of starvation, displacement, and death are meant to break us. They want our resources, they want our land, they want our freedoms, they want our lives to advance their imperialistic, authoritarian agendas across the world. And that is why we have to resist displacement. That is why we have to fight gentrification. It is why the work to decolonize our communities is so incredibly important. Because every resource, every piece of land, every freedom belongs to the people, and it is to ensure that people have every single thing they need to thrive. And we know that displacement, gentrification, colonization always favors wealthier newcomers and real estate development companies at the expense of the established working class communities and communities of color. And Puerto Rico knows this and knows it very well. And while those wealthy Americans avoid their responsibility to contribute to the well-being of our communities, in communities like mine in Humboldt Park, in Puerto Rico, what they're doing is trying to strip Puerto Ricans of affordable housing. They're trying to privatize public lands and historic sites. They're driving the second largest migration the island has seen, and more recently, influencing local elections through these super PACs that they're creating to give donations to those that want to further colonization in the island. But here's the thing, and it's why we're here today. We have to build a future where every person has a right to remain in their communities, where community-driven democratic processes drive land use, and where everyone is guaranteed safe, dignified, and affordable housing. Because the future we fight for is free from being priced out, defrauded, displaced, expelled, or stripped of our land rights, especially in service of private profit, corporate interests, or imperial efforts. We have to build a future where every person has the right to economically thrive, to access the securities and social protections that ensure our health and vitality, to unionize, to work, and rest in the ways that are self-determined and affirm our humanity and our dignidad. Because the future we fight for is free from economic exploitation, free from slavery, free from income inequality, wage abuse, discrimination, and intimidation. Puerto Rico and the Puerto Rican community deserve accessible housing, an economy that works for them, and oversight of their own affairs, true self-determination and sovereignty. So from Puerto Rico to Chicago, we say, lands belong to the people. From Puerto Rico to Chicago, we say, and we make it clear, that you will not be displaced or erased. From Puerto Rico to Chicago, we affirm that housing is a human right. From Puerto Rico to Chicago, we declare that our democracy, nuestra democracia, is not for sale. And I want you to know, yes, as the congresista de Chicago, Illinois, donde puedo representar Paseo Boricua, I want you to know this, that I understand that our struggles, that our liberation is bound together. And I want you to know that I'm committed to the solidarity that will get us through difficult times, that I will fight for policies that are rooted in our dignity and our human rights, and that we prioritize the needs of working people over the interests of the wealthy. He dicho. So from Puerto Rico to Illinois 3, our communities deserve an economy and a democracy that works for working people. And I will continuaré, demanding every single thing we need to thrive. Let me end with this. I'm going to repeat what some folks here said. Ending colonialism in Puerto Rico is a matter of justice, period. Gracias.